This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
And thank you for joining us today, the regular meeting, board meeting of the West Basin Municipal Water District. This is May 24th. The time is now 1:04. I'll call the meeting to order. And we have, for the record, determined that we have a quorum. And with that, we'll move to item number 3, which will be the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Director Alvarez.
Thank you, President Williams. It's my pleasure. If everybody would follow me, place your hand over your heart and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For all. Thank you. Now we'll move to public comment. Mr. General Manager, are there any public comments?
Yes, we have a number of folks online here and that want to speak. We have Walter Lamb and from the Bayona Wetlands Organization. If you'd care to speak, Mr. Lamb.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner and members of the board. I'm Walter Lamb. I represent the Bayona Wetlands Land Trust. We were founded in 1994. For a little over 26 years, we've been advocating for good policies for the Bayona Wetlands. And personally, for the last 7+ years, I've been serving the organization in a full-time volunteer capacity. Most of what I do is research and analysis on the restoration plans, existing management, that sort of thing. I've been going to the meetings of the San Monica Bay Restoration Commission for about that same period of time. I'm very familiar, and also staff member, Mr. Caldwell, is very familiar with me. So it was a little surprising and frankly, a bit of a disappointment that a month ago, you had an agenda item on the Bayona Wetlands that no stakeholders found out about. And because of that, there was quite a lot of factual inaccuracies in the information that you were given. Again, I do this pretty much full time. I won't go through the litany of and I'm not talking about opinions, I'm talking about factual misstatements. One of them was that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had endorsed the project. That's far from the truth. If you actually read, and I'm happy to send them to you, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has raised some of the most serious concerns, some of which were the basis of our litigation against them. And so there's a lot of different opinion about what should happen at the wetlands, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. Everyone's entitled to draw their own conclusions from the facts, but we should be working off of a consistent set of facts. And the folks who came to speak with you know that we're interested. They know that we do often fact check, and that's typically why they prefer for us to not be included in the. Your letter actually highlights the importance of stakeholder engagement. We certainly appreciated Director Gray's amendment to say that you're going to continue watching it and to ensure some stakeholder engagement. And I'm hoping that that can start with maybe some folks coming to a future meeting and making some presentations to you. And we'd love to have the Fish and Wildlife folks and Friends of Bayona Wetlands there. If they think that something that we're saying is wrong, we'll point to the page number in the EIR. And it wasn't clear to me what page numbers of the EIR supported the letter that you wrote. And that's very important. We don't expect you to read the full 101,242 page report, but there's a specific section on water quality hydrology. And I won't take up too much time because there are other people who want to speak, but we would appreciate the opportunity to set the record straight, give you some facts from the EIR, and then allow that maybe to create a more independent review from West Basin. Much of the letter seems to have been cut and paste from a different letter that was from California Audubon Society. We'd love to see a more independent analysis. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. I think we had Is it Dr. Margot Griswold? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Margot Griswold. I'm speaking on behalf of the Los Angeles Audubon Society. And like Walter's group, we have opposed the current plan as formulated for many years. And I'm a restoration ecologist with 30 years experience. Our current president of the Los Angeles Audubon Society is a scientist at UCLA. And there are several scientists who disagree with the science of this project. And I would like to have the opportunity to come and present those findings based on the most recent science and articles. Just briefly, what project can you name, or can anyone name, that is going to make a coastal wetland more resistant to sea level rise by lowering said wetland to current sea level? This is not what anyone is doing, and we have the opportunity not to remove all the soil that this current plan is projected to remove. Soil is an important asset. And I think you would all agree that groundwater needs to be protected from saltwater intrusion. I see it's a item on your agenda that you talk about barriers to saltwater intrusion. So we would like the opportunity to come and show you how this current project may just increase the opportunity for saltwater intrusion. So that would be my request. I would be available at any time to come and give you some information that you can think about before you sign on to something as important and frankly, there is nothing more important right now in the coast.
Thank you, Dr. Griswold. I believe Joseph Young, were you one of the callers who wanted to make public comment?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. My name is Joe Young, and I am retired from Southern California Water Company, where I served for many years. And by the way, hi, Desi.
Hi, Joe. How you doing?
I'd like to address, again, concerns about the board approval of the Ballona Wetlands Ecological Reserve project. I read through the board meeting materials and the Water Policy and Legislation Committee hearings, and there is no mention in these documents that there are 6 lawsuits, filed under CEQA, challenging the certification of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife's EIR on this so-called restoration project. In reality, the project is not a restoration, it is a destruction project. For example, the proposed project would damage the seasonal freshwater marsh, which is what exists now and has for years, converting it into a saltwater marsh. This will, among other undesired impacts, damage the aquifers beneath the wetlands severely. And this, I think the West Basin Board should take another look at this proposal and listen to some science that some others might be able to provide better. Thank you.
Can't hear anybody.
Oh, I'm on the phone. This is Kathy Knight.
Yes, Kathy, could you go ahead and speak?
Sure. My name is Kathy Knight. I'm on the board of the Biono Ecosystem Education Project, and been volunteering with them for 30 years to save this last seasonal freshwater coastal wetland on our coast here. And I'm very concerned that that you are considering supporting the proposed restoration plan, and I would really request that we be able to do a presentation, an actual presentation to you about the other side, why, as you've heard from other people, it's a very, very bad plan for a lot of reasons. And we're in a huge drought right now, just major, major, major drought. And there are freshwater aquifers there on the wetlands. And if it's changed into the saltwater bay type of restoration that the other side wants, the saltwater, as you've heard, could intrude into the aquifers and damage them. And I think it's a number one priority in Los Angeles to save any water aquifers, drinking water aquifers we have left. And so I would really like to see a presentation be done to you. And also, you know, we have gone through this in the last 30 years where there's people who are well-funded who propose some kind of thing for the Biono wetlands and say things that aren't true. And then we have to keep coming in to give information, like on the gas problem at Playa Vista. It took about 6 years of working hard to finally get an independent expert to come in and expose the gas problem that was there, that we kept saying was there, but the $1 million expert said we didn't know what we were talking about. So this is like, it's been a constant thing on this property. And also, you know, maybe we could have at some point an unbiased, trained, and certified facilitator who could help, you know, oversee stakeholder meetings and get some things, you know, get some things clarified. Anyway, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And I just really want to protect all our aquifers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Appreciate that. Let's see who else. Janet Wolfsberg, were you wishing to comment?
Yes. First, I'm Jeanette Vosberg. I'm board member of Grassroots Coalition. And with respect, I've been working for Biono beginning in the late 90s and more recently to ensure that the Biono Wetlands Ecological Reserve remain a predominantly freshwater seasonal wetland. The CDFW 2020 FEIR favored alternatives that are not restoration, but rather creation, that do not meet the definition of restoration. I call your attention to a February 2nd, 2018 U.S. Department of Interior letter by Janet Whitlock, Regional Environmental Officer to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Daniel Swetson, Regulatory Division, who offers 5 pages of comments, complaints, and revisions to the suggested revisions to the FEIR. I draw your attention to AF 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 16 in particular. I'd also like to say that the FEIR is not real science, and it is only discussing about 30% of what needs to be done. What we need is something that we've never, as concerned citizens, had, and that's an unbiased, trained facilitator who understands how to bring diverse people together to build and reach consensus. Area A, for example, was described by Shelley Luce as a hellscape. I would disagree with that. We have a photographer, Jonathan Coffin, who has thousands of pictures on his website. And I would recommend that those pictures be looked at, because there's myriad wildlife out there, some of them endangered species. And I, for one, am very concerned about maintaining those species, not having something like 70% of the wetlands dug up, and those animals and birds being trapped and held for 10 years while supposed restoration, really creation, goes forth. That's the end of my comments, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Fosberg. Looking through the caller numbers here, not all of them have identified themselves, but let's see here. Dorian Almaraz, are you wishing to comment in public, under public comment? Okay.
No, I'm not. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. Caller number 6.
I'm here, Patricia McPherson from Grassroots Coalition.
Hi, Patricia. Go ahead and
Would
comment.
you like me to go ahead?
Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Patricia McPherson, Grassroots Coalition. I also created the first wetland group for the Sierra Club 30 years ago. I am aware and watched the program that you listen to the Department of Fish and Game and Friends of Iona and those people giving their presentations. So I echo the statements and support the statements made by all of the people thus far that wish to have, let me get rid of my speakerphone, that wish to have the ability to do a presentation for you. But to bring up some of the things that were asked at the time, how many groups are in opposition to this plan? Well, we could bring to you more than 36 groups who are opposed, excuse me, to this plan. That would include 6 Democratic clubs, the LA County Democratic Club, Democrats for the Protection of Animals, Sierra Club, Grassroots Coalition, Food and Water Watch, Audubon LA, Biona Ecosystem, In Defense of Animals, Climate Reality Project, the Resource Renewal Institute, and so on. We have, and we can provide you with all of these lists, but tangential support when asked about water and how it interfaces with various agencies. Well, the Water Board classifies the water underneath Biona as potential drinking water. So there is the concern of diversion of all of the groundwater away from Biona, which is a freshwater dependent ecosystem, which even Governor Newsom has the groundwater sustainability plan, which Biona should be a part of to determine how to protect the groundwater resources there. We have the Playa Vista project, which is currently diverting a lot of its groundwater because they have to pump it out for gas mitigation systems. All of that water is being sent either into the sanitary sewer, which Grassroots is currently engaged with Mr. Zaldivar with the Department of Sanitation in making sure that that water stays on Biona. As well as water that is diverted into the freshwater marsh system, which is then just sent out into the ocean, which the Coastal Commission has also been very concerned about this freshwater diversion and asking, why is this being allowed to occur? Grassroots Coalition sued several years ago both the Department of Fish and Wildlife and Playa Vista for illegal drains that were found on the site. And we prevailed in that lawsuit, and the Coastal Commission was able to then utilize that to say they have to have these illegal drains capped. It was illegal because they had never gotten a Coastal Commission permit. So now that that has happened, the area has much growth that has returned to it, all of which shows that the baseline studies that were done in the now very stale 2012 studies that were done were not done properly, and it certainly at the time did not even disclose the fact that those illegal drains were there and draining away all of the fresh water. But we also have U.S. Fish and Wildlife comments that were brought up earlier, that they are too concerned with the diversion of fresh water and wish to see that water instead stay on Ballona. SoCal Gas, it is a concern there because SoCal Gas, in a recent Prop 65 lawsuit, which they lost, one of the settlement agreements was they will remediate to a drinking water standard unless that groundwater changes, which it would if saltwater intrusion and pollution was allowed into these aquifers. And they would no longer be on the hook for remediation to a drinking water standard. So the West Basin is, all of you folks are very familiar with these types of issues and barriers to saltwater intrusion and the importance and significance of maintaining our groundwater precious and oh so very precious freshwater resources today. So we would like to be able to work with you on these issues and let you know what we have found, all of our data support. I know that Jim Kennedy brought up asking you to help with these issues, and we too would like that. The flood control issues that Brody brought up that will take another 2.5 years to even go through, that's because SOMAS and Environmental Science, ESA, performed wrongful studies. They didn't even use the proper standards for flood control measurement. And so it's going to take another 2.5 years to go back and redo studies for what they had wrongfully done in the first place. All of those things haven't been brought up to you. And certainly Grassroots Coalition, we've had litigation, as has the Land Trust, and both of us have won in all of our litigations. We would just like the opportunity to point the way, show you what we're planning and how we would like to see this done in a very sustainable fashion without the cost that's
Sorry, Patricia, we seem to have lost you there. Just remind the callers that try to keep your comments under 3 minutes if possible. Let's see, caller number 2. How about caller number 1? Is there anybody on the call who wishes to make a comment under public comment regarding this matter of the Ballona Creek? President Williams, I think that seems to be all of our public comments for now, unless I missed somebody.
Okay, well, thank you then. And that ends public comments, and we'll move to item 5, a public hearing.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
may I make a comment, please?
yes.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the speakers this afternoon for your comments. I do want to recommend to the chair of the board that you consider a presentation from some of the speakers that requested that. I think it's always important to have information as we make decisions moving forward. I know we have made a decision regarding the Ballona project, but I think we do need to make sure that we are fully informed. So I suggest that the board president consider a presentation in the future regarding the requests today. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's always an option, and I think we'll do that. I don't think we're ready to make a decision on this item anyway. So yes, we will have that. And
thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Public hearing.
Yes. Thank you, President Williams. So we have a public hearing today regarding the standby charge for fiscal year 21-22. And the feature that we bring the standby charge back for adoption. We have several steps, and this is one where we have part of the process, which is a public hearing. I think Steve O'Neill, our general counsel, is on board. There you are, Steve. If you could handle this matter first, please.
Sure thing. Thank you, Pat, and good afternoon, everyone. Chairman Williams, this is the public hearing for the fiscal year, excuse me, the standby charge for fiscal year 21-22. The district levies its standby charge pursuant to the Uniform District Procedures Act, which requires that a public hearing regarding the proposed charge be held prior to the consideration of the standby charge. As I'm sure you know, the standby charge resolution is on this agenda later down in the agenda, but as a preliminary matter, the district should open a public hearing, accept any comments from staff, the public, or the board, and then close the public hearing. If the board wishes to adopt the standby charge, it can do so later in the agenda when the standby charge resolution is presented. But at this time, I recommend the chair open this meeting up for a public hearing on the proposed standby charge adoption. And I would remind the board from previous reports on this matter that given that we're currently in litigation on this matter and attempting to settle the litigation, that the resolution states that the proposed rates for fiscal year 21-22 will not exceed the rates currently in effect, which have been in place since 1992. So with that, I'd recommend that the board, that the chair open the meeting up for a public hearing. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Yes, one here is the language you just spoke is sufficient to open the public hearing?
I would recommend that the chair announce the public hearing open. I lack that authority.
Okay, what is there? Usually we have language that is kind of standard for opening a public hearing. Do we have that?
I can't speak to that, but the chair has the authority to declare this public hearing open, and then you can receive comment.
All right, very good. Based on that, I hereby call this public hearing open to receive comments. Now, who's going to deliver? Am I muted?
I can.
Not hearing any comments, President Williams.
Hearing no comments, do I close the public hearing or do I leave it open?
No, you have the authority to close it, giving the public the opportunity to participate in the public hearing. It appears that there are no comments at this time, so it would be appropriate for the chair to close the public hearing.
With that, I hereby declare the public hearing closed. Next up.
And that'll bring you to your next agenda item.
Yep. Mr. General Manager.
Yes, thank you, President Williams. So the next agenda item is number 6, where we have a presentation for our always fascinating and beautiful Water is Life art contest student recognition. We've had tremendous response to even in this pandemic year, which we're still going through, our time anyway. And Janelle Ankayan, our Public Information Specialist 1, is going to present on this item. Janelle?
Thank you, Patrick. Do you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Every year, West Basin conducts one of its signature water education programs, the Water is Life Student Art Contest. The goal of the program is to encourage 3rd through 12th grade students to create water conservation messages and illustrate it with original artwork. This year, young artists submitted 439 pieces of beautiful artwork from 86 public and private schools in West Basin service area, thus making it a challenge for the judges to select the winning artwork. West Basin would like to express appreciation for the support of the teachers and school administrators who taught students about our region's current water issues and the need to live a water-efficient lifestyle. We would also like to recognize the students' family members who supported their children's effort during this unique learning environment. West Basin would also like to express appreciation to our program sponsors whose general financial contributions make this education program possible. Thank you to the law offices of Olivares, Madruga, Lemieux, and O'Neill, a full-service law firm which serves public and private clients in the courtroom and in the boardroom. This firm provides a wide range of attorney services from personal injury law, toxic site remediation, civil rights, and appeals to public works litigations. Thank you also to Suez North America, one of the nation's leading environmental companies. Suez is proud to provide water and waste recycling services to over 7.5 million people in the United States and Canada. Their mission is to deliver these services safely and cost-effectively while positively impacting local communities through their commitment to social and environmental responsibility. Finally, thank you to the Water Replenishment District, the agency that manages groundwater for nearly 4 million residents in 43 cities in southern Los Angeles County. WRD is a leader in groundwater monitoring, safe drinking water programs, combating seawater intrusion, and groundwater replenishment operations. West Basin staff would also like to recognize West Basin's 5-member board of directors. These community leaders are publicly elected to represent their communities regarding water quality, water delivery, and water reliability issues for the West Basin service area. It is the pleasure of this board to recognize the artists today whose artwork rose above the rest with their creative water conservation messages and beautiful artwork. You will be able to see these students' reproduced artwork and water conservation messages during the upcoming year on West Basin informational and promotional materials. West Basin is proud to celebrate and uplift this artwork and voices of our young people as they promote water efficiency throughout the region. This year, in place of an in-person recognition event this year, education staff has worked with our 15 student winners to produce a video that shares their inspiration for promoting water conservation through their pieces of art. Can we please have the administration department play the video for us?
Thank you, Desiree.
I believe we're not hearing any sound on the video.
Hi there, my name is Isabella Hernandez. I'm a 5th grader from Citronelle Elementary School. My inspiration from this artwork came from the way we use water in our everyday lives. For example, we use water to quench our thirst, grow our produce, and enjoy ourselves by doing outdoor activities such as fishing.
Hello, my name is Yumi. I am in 5th grade and I go to Bernie Elementary. And I got inspired to create this drawing when I realized that the oceans are not always clean. So I created this drawing to tell people to throw away trash instead of littering everywhere.
Hi everyone, my name is Landon On and I am from El Segundo Center Street. My theme is water life, so keep it strong. I wanted to show that plants cannot live without water. Only water can keep the seeds from sprouting and brighten our lives like these sunflowers and rainbow.
Hi, My name is Emma Alvarado. I go to 4th grade and I go to 156th Street Elementary. My painting was inspired by my camping trips. Half of my tree is dead where I see no water, and half of my tree is full of life where there's lots of water. The message behind my painting was, we need water, and if we don't have any water, we wouldn't have any life.
Hi, my name is Avery Ertman. I'm in 8th grade at Chadwick School. I depicted a lake with sunken water levels and a fishing rod with the earth as its bobber. The levels are sunken, and we need to realize that we can't always throw the earth out, and we have to reel it back in when we see this. My slogan depicts that we as a single person can make a difference in a big world and change the world.
My name is Megan. I go to La Tierra Academy of Excellence. I'm in the 7th grade, and I drew a pipe that has a big droplet of water, but then there's plants in the dirt, and they're only getting small amounts of water. I wanted to show people that even though there's a big drop of water, you only need a little bit of water to make if you want to do something good.
Hi, I'm Anthony Padnos, an 8th grader at Manhattan Beach Middle School, and in my drawing, I tried to use my style of doodle art with the coral reef. I tried to use the tagline of water is life and show how all the marine life can live in the ocean, and shows how water is life. And that every person has their own responsibility to keep the ocean clean, not pollute, so that all the marine life can live a good life.
Hi, I'm Victor Nava. I'm in 6th grade and I attend Will Rogers Middle School. My inspiration to my drawing was to show people that when you're talking to someone about taking care of our water and our planet, they mostly think about taking care of the oceans and their animals, but don't think of other animals that don't live in there. That's why my drawing is based in an outer ocean place with a lot of animals that show that they depend on water to live.
Hi, my name is Lauren Jung. I'm a 9th grader at Palos Verdes Peninsula High School, and this is my artwork. The message behind my artwork is water is the root of life. There are hidden symbolic meanings in the background as well. The rain symbolizes the rebirth of life. The aurora symbolizes the rising light of the morning/life. And the mountains symbolize the constancy of life that water brought to earth.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Melendez, and I'm a senior at Lenox Academy, and my piece is inspired off of an Italian song called Il mare eterno nella mia anima, which means the eternal sea within my soul. And my teacher and I brainstormed what it meant to us, and we just decided it meant an eternal sea, which is our change that drives us to push forward a new future.
Hi, my name is Christian Fossis. I go to West High. I'm a 10th grader, and my message is that we should conserve our oceans because they're home to diverse marine life.
Hi, I'm Sierra Nemnoa. I'm an 11th grader from Culver City High School, and this is my artwork. Basically, I wanted to illustrate how important it is to protect our water like we would protect a fragile bubble from popping. If we don't protect our water and let these bubbles pop, then not only would we waste water, but we would also lose everything that depends on water, like animals and plants.
Hey everyone, I'm Steven Romero. I am in the 4th grade, and I go to Town Avenue Elementary. This is my drawing. I was inspired by my experience through the outdoors, and I usually see everything outdoors green. So I decided to draw everything green, and that also represents what water can do if we save it.
Hi, my name is Madison Torres. I'm in 7th grade from El Segundo Middle School. And for my artwork here, I was just really inspired a lot of documentaries and videos about things like water pollution and sea animals getting caught. And this is just really symbolizing bringing up this topic, that we need to bring up this topic and help with this. And it just really shows that life depends on water and that our water is our life.
Hello, my name is Lacey Callahan, and I'm an 11th grader at Louisiana High School. This is my piece of art. The inspiration behind my artwork is elephant endangerment, and the main reason why elephant numbers are so low is because of poaching, but aside from that, it's because of low water levels. Droughts around the world are forcing animals to adapt and change, and elephants don't have the ability to adapt and change as easily. And if we start teaching children how to conserve water seriously from a young age, then they one day might be able to save the elephants or save other endangered animals.
Great, thank you so much for sharing that video. All 15 of our student winners will receive an Apple iPad, and the 3 grand prize winners will additionally receive an Apple Pen stylus and $25 store card. Thank you so much, everyone. All student winners will also be considered for Metropolitan Water District's Regional Water is Life Student Art Contest, where selected artwork will be featured in the 2022 art calendars. Again, we thank the program sponsors for providing the funds that help these student artists continue on in their creative journeys. To conclude this presentation, I would like to offer each director an opportunity to share any comments that they might have for the student artists. I would like to invite Director Williams to share his comments first, going in division order. So go ahead, Director Williams.
Thank you. First of all, let me greet you all in the spirit of water reliability and in the spirit of water efficiency, water use efficiency. I'm Director Harold Williams, and as board president, I represent West Basin's Division 1, which includes the cities of Carson, my hometown, Palos Verdes Estates, Rancho Palos Verdes, Rolling Hills Estates, and the unincorporated LA County area of Rancho Dominguez. This is one of my favorite water education programs that we look forward to every year. It is a great opportunity for students to illustrate their creative water conservation messages with original artwork. On behalf of all of West Basin, I thank the students who participated, and of course, the teachers in our service area who continue to promote water conservation in classrooms. From my perspective, water conservation is an attitude, it's a state of mind. Motivation is what gets you started, but habit is what keeps you going. So with that said, I'd like to recognize Stephen Romero, Avery Erkman, and Lauren Jung for their creative pieces of art that will inspire and motivate the South Bay cities to preserve and appreciate our water resources. So with that, I'd like to invite Director Gray to offer her comments.
Thank you, President Williams. First of all, I'd like to say to all the students that your artwork was awesome. I am so impressed, and I know our water future is in good hands. Again, my name is Gloria D. Gray, and I represent West Basin Division 2, which includes the city of Inglewood, excuse me, as well as unincorporated Los Angeles County areas of Lenox, Athens, South Ladera Heights, and Westmount. We commend all of the local students who participated in this year's Water is Life Student Art Contest and for their commitment to water conservation. We were so impressed and inspired by the many creative submissions that we received from students this year. Specifically, I would like to thank Isabella Hernandez, Megan Apollonio, and Rebecca Melendez for creating truly inspiring art that will help our communities adopt water conservation as a way of life. Thank you again to all the students. This is one of my favorite programs every year. I'm impressed, inspired by all of you. And please continue to be involved in conserving water. And with that, I'd like to invite Director Alvarez to share his comments. Thank you very much.
Director Gray, thank you very much for that introduction. I'm Desi Alvarez, and I represent Division 3, which covers the South-based communities of Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, West Torrance, Lomita, and West Carson. And the Water is Life contest is really an amazing opportunity to see all of the talent out there. We got to see a lot of wonderful pieces of art, and it was very difficult to select what's the best because all of them were excellent. And I think that all of our young people ought to be commended for their creativity and their passion to conserve and protect our water resources, which are so critical for all of us. In particular, I'd like to congratulate Yumi Lee from Bernie Elementary School in Redondo Beach, Anthony Pardo from Manhattan Beach Middle School, and Christian Passos from West High Torrance. You all did a fabulous job, and I want you all to know that the calendar that will contain your artwork is really treasured. Of all of the things that get circulated out there, the Water is Life calendar is truly appreciated, and I get more thanks when I give that away to people than anything else. So congratulations to all of you. And next, I would like to introduce Director Houston.
Thank you, Director Alvarez. I'm Scott Houston, and I represent West Basin's Division 4. That includes the cities of Culver City, El Segundo, West Hollywood, and Malibu, and also the unincorporated areas of Los Angeles County that are Lenox, Wiseburn, Marina del Rey, North Ladera Heights, Del Air, Topanga, View Park, and Windsor Hills. And I was very impressed with the video of the students today. We have such amazing students across our area. I would say we're very proud of all the students who participated in this year's Water is Life Student Art Contest for your thoughtful water conservation slogans and your creative artwork that emphasizes our commitment and your commitment to preserving our most precious natural resource. And I do want to especially, of course, thank the 3 students that were recognized from Division 4. That would be Landon On, Madison Torres, and Sierra Nimnual for your beautiful art pieces that inspire our service area and inspire us to protect this precious water supply we so cherish. So once again, thanks to all the students who participated. Thank you to staff for putting together this great video that we can share. And I'd like to turn this over to my colleague, Director Deere.
Thank you, Scott. My name is Donald Deere, and I represent West Basin Division 5, which includes the cities of Hawthorne, Gardena, Lawndale, and the unincorporated area called El Camino Village. The artwork is really timely as we enter the summertime, which is a period of high water usage. I'd like to thank all the participants in the 2021 Water is Life Art Contest, and especially recognize Emma Alversado, Victor Nava, and Lacey Callahan for their inspiring pieces of art. Congratulations to everyone. I'll invite Jamel back to conclude the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the directors for sharing your comments. And again, a big congratulations to all of our student winners this year and all of our student participants also. We look forward to reproducing and sharing their water conservation messages during the upcoming year. And this concludes the award presentation for the 2021 Water is Life Student Art Contest. Thank you so much.
President Williams?
All righty, very good. That was truly awesome. And I look forward to this every year. And I'm looking forward to getting my calendar too. My calendar to hand out throughout the coming year. All right, then that takes us to item number 7.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes, General Counsel has something to add here.
yes, I was going to call on General Counsel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As you know, we have existing litigation concerning the case of Porter versus West Basin concerning the standby charge, and we're in the middle of negotiating a settlement agreement. Well, over the weekend and after the agenda was posted, I received some communication from special counsel that warrants a discussion by the board. So pursuant to the Brown Act, I would ask that the board add an additional item to our closed session agenda. That item would be pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.1, excuse me, .9, existing litigation, Porter versus West Basin, on the basis that the need to take action and consider this matter arose subsequent to the posting of the agenda. So, Mr. Chair, I'd ask if the chair could have the board consider through a motion that addition to the agenda.
Is there a motion out there?
Yes, I'll make such a motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll
Right.
second.
And it's been seconded by whom?
Gloria.
Great.
All right, moved and seconded that we add another item to the agenda by the General Counsel. Are you ready to vote? This has to be roll call, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Director Gray,
Yes.
Director Alvarez,
Yes.
Director Houston,
Yes.
Director Deere,
Yes.
Director Williams, yours truly, that's a yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that moves us on to the next item.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I do have a question. I just want to make sure from the item earlier, the public hearing, were we supposed to do any motions or vote or not? I just want to make sure we did that.
According to the General Counsel, would you speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Director Houston. Yeah, that was the public hearing to consider any public comment on the proposed resolution. That's later on in the agenda. There is the resolution that would actually adopt the standby charge. So the statute requires that we have an independent public hearing. However, when we do adopt the standby charge, as with any action item, it'll be moved and seconded, and any member of the public is free to comment at that time as well. But we do have to have a public hearing, which we presented earlier in the agenda.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood process. So we didn't have to have a motion to open a public hearing. We didn't have to have a motion to close the public hearing earlier.
No, the chair has the authority to open the agenda, excuse me, to open the hearing and close the hearing. Some agencies do it differently. Some do it by motion, but the chair has the authority to do that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So next item?
The consent calendar, President Williams.
President Williams, this is Director
Yes.
Deere. I move the approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second it.
Is there a second?
I second it. Gray.
All right, thank you. Then it's been moved and seconded that the consent calendar be approved as presented. You ready to call for the vote? Director Alvarez,
I vote yes, but I would like on all the items with the exception of the April 16th and April 19th meeting minutes. Just
Okay.
want the record to indicate a no.
okay. You get that, Mr. General Manager?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, then we go to Director Houston.
I would vote yes on everything, although I vote no on the approval of the minutes. Thanks.
Okay. Director Deere.
I'll make a comment if I might, Mr. Chairman. Everybody wants to do that. The minutes are supposed to reflect the actions taken at the meeting. They don't have to reflect all the comments made by members of the board. And I vote yes on the motion.
Thank you. And Director Williams, yes, on the motion. Thank you. I thought we had.
Director, did you ask Director Ray?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I leave you out, Director Ray?
Oh, my vote is yes.
Oh,
I second the motion.
how did I do that? Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And some concerning, I thought we had gone through this thing with the minutes. Never mind.
Well, okay.
Never mind. Then that brings us to
the action calendar, item 9.
9. Item 9
Yes.
is an action calendar, and we have a number of items. So we'll go through them one by one.
Yes. So President Williams said we have, I think, 6 items on the calendar, action calendar today. The first item is the adoption of fiscal year 21-22 water rates and charges, which we covered recently at the Finance and Admin Committee, and they'll have Margaret cover this. Here you are. Margaret, our Manager of Finance and CFO, will present this item. Margaret.
Good afternoon, directors. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the consideration of action item 9A, resolution 05211128, the adoption of fiscal year 21-22 water rates and charges. As the board knows, and just to reiterate, we have met on a number of occasions through a series of workshops beginning in February of 2021, again in March, also again twice in April, and followed up with a customer agency workshop end of April on April 28th to discuss both the budget and the rates and charges for the fiscal year 21-22 budget. As outlined on the page packet 249 of this item, it does refer to the specific items that we are considering in the water rate resolution. Most notably is the West Basin Tier 1 rate. That Tier 1 rate is made up of 3 components. Effectively, though, we are seeing that rate increases from today at a rate of 1,441 per acre foot to 1,449 on July 1, 2021, and then again increasing to 1,488 on January 2022. As shown on the following page, on page 250, you can see the chart of what those increases are and what that represents. Most notably is that the RTS component remains flat. The Metropolitan Tier 1 rate has already been adopted by the Metropolitan Water District Board, and we are just passing that rate through. That's the $39 increase that you see on that component. And the last component is the West Basin Reliability Service Charge, increasing $8 on effective July 1, 2021. The other components on the water rate resolution is the capacity charge. Again, this is another pass-through. We are happy to say that the amount that you see there, while it is going up, it does reflect a reduction from the amount that we are being charged by Metropolitan Water District because of the difference between when the individual customers peak and when West Basin overall peaks for the peaking period. The next item is the fixed service charge. You can see that component actually is a West Basin fixed service charge. That component is decreasing over the fiscal year, from fiscal year to fiscal year, effectively an $8 per acre foot decrease. Again, it's a fixed amount. So overall, West Basin's revenue source, if you will, based off of the water sales assumptions, shows that the West Basin component remains flat over the 2-year period of time. Finally, the desalted brackish water and the recycled water rates, those are set forth by agreement and also to align to the West Basin Tier 1 rate. And with that, I wanted to also share with you the water sales assumptions that was there. Much discussion was looked on that as it relates to what is it that we can produce, what is it that we are anticipating that our customers will have through their retail water usage, remaining flat at 103,000 acre feet. And then the other component is those sales to the West Coast and the Dominguez Gap barrier. The recycled water sales is slightly lower than this current year's budget, and that reflects the fact that our sales to the West Coast barrier has been reduced due to work being done at the West Coast barrier wells. And then finally, this budget does assume that we will have no sales to the desalted brewer desalter. We do still have a rate there just in case there is an acre feet of sale, but the board made a decision earlier this year in March to look to divest from the brewer desalter, and as such, we have no sales to them. And with that, let me take you to the water rate resolution. The recommendation, which is on page 251 of your packet, also shown on the screen, and that is that the board approves resolution 05211128, a resolution of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District relating to water rates and repeal resolution number 06201113. And that concludes my report.
Questions? So with that, is there a motion?
Don, you're on mute, Don.
Hello?
Fine off.
There you go.
I'll move the adoption of the recommendation.
Motion to approve.
That the recommendation be adopted.
And I second the motion.
And it's been seconded by Director Gray, moved by Director Deere, seconded by Director Gray. Questions or comments?
This is Director Houston. This is Director Houston.
Director Houston.
Well, I just wanted to say that, I voted against this last year, and it's a part of a 2-year pass-through bill for Metropolitan, so I will remain voting no on this, because, back then I didn't agree with raising the water rates and the way it was done last year by Met, and so I'll hold to that position. And also I'll note that there was a letter just recently last week sent from a number of our legislative lawmakers to the governor asking in the budget surplus that he is talking about that there be issues for water and utilities affordability. So we're not out of the woods yet, and I don't support raising the water rates at this time, but again, it's part of a 2-year package from Metropolitan, and so I will vote no.
Okay, when your time comes, you can do that. All right. Director Gray?
I just wanted to thank staff because I think they went certainly, I don't know if the word is beyond whatever is required, but we had a number of workshops and I think staff provided certainly responses to questions from our board members. And I think we do have a reasonable budget. But I did want to recognize staff for presenting all the information and more workshop than we would normally have. So thank you to staff for that. But I do believe this is a budget that we need to move forward. And again, the budget is an item that can be adjusted as we move forward with any kind of needed changes. But the current budget that's being presented today, I totally support it. But I do want to recognize staff for presenting a number of more workshops than usual. Thank you.
As the president, I just want to caution my colleagues that when we come to whether or not you vote on an item that's up for a vote. You need not tell us why you're voting the way you are. Just vote. And it will save a lot of time. So with that, Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Alvarez.
No.
Director Houston.
No.
Director Deere.
Yes.
Director Harold Williams, yours truly, yes. Thank you. Next item.
Thank you, President Williams. So the next item on the calendar is the budget item 9B, after the resolution has been adopted. And Margaret, I see, has kept her camera on because she's expecting to present this item as well.
Again, thank you everyone for your attention on this very important matter. This is to consider the board's adoption of the fiscal year 2021-22 budget. As shared in the previous item, this was done through a series of workshops. We began in February with just the overall assumptions as it relates to what shall be considered as it relates to the fiscal year 21-22 budget, the concerns of or issues that we were needing to address, and how those are being incorporated into the process. On March 24th, the board met to talk about the underlying assumptions that related to the program and capital expenditures for West Basin, again for fiscal year 21-22. These underlying assumptions reflect the program's activities and mission that this is set forth by the board and represent the dollars that represent making sure that we can get the business of business done here for the district. On workshop number 3 that was held on April 16th, we did have a review of the underlying assumptions as it pertains to the revenues for the district. The revenues mostly related to the water sales assumptions and the water rates. That represents a good portion, over 90% of our budget has to do with the water rates and charges. And then we also did address a number of other items, including the standby charge, the fixed capital payments, and other income that we receive from water use efficiency and conservation programs, as well as our interest earnings. Then we had a follow-up meeting on April 19th on the following Monday that addressed a number of questions that were raised by the board members at their earlier workshops. We provided them additional detail as it related to what specifically was in those individual program budgets by line item, as well as answering any other questions that they had. Subsequent to those board workshops, we did then have a customer agency workshop held on April 28th. That April 28th workshop was attended by a number of customers, and from that particular meeting, there was only maybe a couple of questions that were answered, of some very small minor points of a general support from it. Subsequent to that workshop, I did email out that presentation to all interested customers, those that were in attendance, as well as those that were not able to attend, and asked if they had any questions or concerns to reach out to me. I've received no comments from them as it pertains to it. So as you see on page 262, that 262 shows you the highlights of our revenues and expenses for the fiscal year 21-22. Again, this takes in consideration of the approval of resolution 0521-1128 as it relates to rates and charges. It reflects the water sales assumptions that I've outlined here on that page, including our retail barrier imported sales, as well as our recycled sales, and also mentioning about the brewer desalter, where we do not anticipate any sales in fiscal year 21-22. And also contemplates the approval of resolution 0521-1127 to adopt this annual standby charge that will be coming up shortly. It also talks about the cost containment of the budget throughout the budget, including holding 6 positions that we are not budgeting for fiscal year 21-22. It reflects a debt service of $20.6 million, which does reflect some anticipated savings from our 2021 refunding transaction. That item is also coming up for the board's consideration, as well as the capital expenditures of about $56 million. And also from those revenues and expenses, we anticipated about designated funds of about $14.3 million. And while we do anticipate trying to achieve our 1.75 coverage with the most recent information as it pertains to the activities on some RFP services that were out recently, we did incorporate those changes so that those numbers are reflected within the budget. And this does show that the budget has a 1.70 projected debt coverage ratio. The draft budget document is there as an attachment A for your consideration. And if I could take you to now the recommendation, and then I'll open it up for questions. The recommendation is that the board adopts the fiscal year 21-22 budget. Thank you for your attention.
I'll move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the budget recommendation be adopted. Any objections? Questions? Let's have the roll call. Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Alvarez.
No.
Director Houston.
No.
Director Deere.
You know, this is the most important vote we take every year, and I vote yes.
And next is Director Williams. I vote yes. Motion carries. Okay. Next item.
Could somebody put their microphone on mute if there's a background noise from it? Sounds like a TV or radio station. Thank you. Let's see, next item is item 9. Let me get my bearings again here. 9C. And this pertains to the resolution for adoption resolution for approval of the 2021A refunding revenue bonds. As we discussed in the Atlanta Finance Committee, there's a tremendous opportunity for us to refinance bonds and incorporate some other commercial paper into this rollout and save significant money for the ratepayers and others. Margaret, do you care to handle this one, please?
Yes, thank you. Once again, I turn your attention to page 382 of your board packet. This refers to Resolution 05211126, approval of the 2021 refunding revenue bonds. As shared by our General Manager, Patrick Shields, this item was discussed at last week's Finance and Administration Committee, and it refers to the potential for the district to achieve very favorable savings, if you will, by going out into the market to refund eligible bonds for refunding. In addition to that, we will also be fixing out our commercial paper program funds that we have already drawn, taking advantage of this lower interest rate environment and still achieving positive savings. So if I turn your attention to page 383 of the board packet, it provides for you a summary of that plan of finance. And you can see on the left-hand side, it describes what those particular items are, again, to refund all or a portion of the 2011A and 11B bonds, as well as fix out the commercial paper of $25 million. For this particular transaction, this would be a fixed rate transaction on a tax exempt basis. And if you look to the bottom or to the right-hand side, the table at the very bottom, you can see the potential savings that you can see here. Net present value savings of about $18 million over the life of the bonds at a rate of 1.71% in today's market conditions. This does assume that, again, we will move forward with this transaction with the board's approval in early part of June and close it before the end of the fiscal year. This information has been incorporated into the fiscal year 2021-22 budget for its consideration, thereby reducing our debt service from about $23 million to about $20.6 million, again, for fiscal year 21-22. We are happy to share with you also that there are a number of other requirements that we are required to report through SB 450, including the good faith estimate, and you can see that in Table 1. That shows again that 1.71%. The finance charge would incorporate not only the cost of issuance that that we'll discuss in a moment for the number of financial professionals that work with us on this transaction, but also the fee associated to the underwriting firms led by JP Morgan in this case. We have 2 other co-managers as well. And then if we move to page 384, there were a number of documents that are as part of this packet as well, including the indenture, first of all, the resolution, which then refers to the indenture of trust, the 2 escrow agreements, the preliminary official statement, which is our public disclosure document that has been reviewed by staff and updated by staff, reviewed by the number of counterparties, including our own bond counsel, district counsel, underwriter counsel, underwriters, trustee. Again, a number of individuals have looked at not only that document, but all these documents, the purchase agreement, and then our annual commitment for continuing disclosure on where we stand with these items. Table 2 provides you the more specific details as it relates to the cost of issuance. Most notably are those that are shown there, our bond and disclosure counsel, municipal advisor, rating agencies, trustee counsel, verification agent, printing of our official statement, bringing to that total of $220,000. And if I can take your attention to the recommendation that is on page 385, that reflects the 2 recommendations, and I'll read it for you now. One is that the Board of Directors approves, adopts, and authorizes the President to sign Resolution 0521-1126, resolution of the West Basin Municipal Water District, authorizing the issuance of a not to exceed of 105 million refunding revenue bonds, Series 2021, and approving the execution and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith and certain other matters. And number 2, that the board approves the cost of issuance of $220,000 for the 2021 refunding revenue bonds. And I should note that those costs of issuance are coming out of the transaction. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Director Williams, to see if there's any questions.
Thank you. You've heard the report. Any questions concerning this resolution number 05-21-1126, resolution of West Basin Water District authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $105 million refunding revenue bonds. Any questions?
I'll move the item.
Who was that?
Scott.
Houston.
Houston, it's been moved that the item be moved. I mean, be approved.
I'll second. This is Don Deere.
And now it has been seconded. Questions? Hearing none, I'll call question. Director Gray, how do you vote?
Yes.
Director Alvarez?
Yes.
Director Houston?
Yes.
Director Deere?
Yes.
And yours truly, yes. Item carries unanimously. Next item.
Thank you, President Houston. The next item is action calendar item 9D. And this pertains to the Standby charge adoption. Earlier we had the public hearing that was conducted appropriately, and this is part of a series of steps we take for bringing this for formal adoption. And our General Counsel, Steve O'Neill, is supposed to handle this item. Steve, are you still on the call?
Yeah, yes, I am, Pat. I haven't dropped off. Yeah, this is the second part of the standby charge adoption process that Director Houston alluded to earlier, in that we did have the public hearing as required by the Uniform Standby Charge Procedures Act. And this is the resolution that actually implements the act, implements the standby charge. And again, the statutory process in the government code states that it shall be done by resolution. Once again, this is set forth in your board packet, and it is it represents does not represent any increase, but is maintaining an amount that does not exceed the standby charge that's been in place for many years. As with previous standby charges, it addresses specifically the different types of property that it's levied on. Is a specific rate for single-family residences, a rate for raw land, and for multi-residential, and it carries forward the district procedure for allowing the standby charge to either be excused with approval by staff, or to be delayed. So with that, Margaret or Marianne, if you had any other comments about the implementation, but the plan is that it will not change on the staff side in terms of implementing the standby charge. And again, the amounts will not exceed the pre-existing amounts that have been in place for, I believe, 1992. So the resolution is in your packet. I don't have the page number.
Who's delivering this?
Well, the resolution, I think, is on page 600, I believe, the resolution itself.
And who's delivering the recommendation?
I'm happy to read that for you, President Williams.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
That the board approves, adopts, and authorizes the president to sign resolution number 05211127, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the West Basin Municipal Water District imposing a standby charge for the fiscal year commencing July 1, 2021, and repealing resolution number 05201111.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move approval.
It's been moved by Director Deere that staff's recommendation be approved.
I second.
By Director Gray. Any questions, comments? All right, then we'll go to roll call. Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Alvarez.
Yes.
Director Houston.
Yes.
Director Deere.
Yes.
Director Williams, yours truly, yes. So this is approved unanimously, so it's 5-0. Next item.
Thank you again, President Williams. Our next item on the agenda is on the action calendar is item 9E, and noted as adopting and oppose a less amended position on AB 1195, the Garcia drinking water bill. Since this went to press, we have had several amendments to it by the author and people involved. And EJ is going to update us on what those amendments are that are not in your board write-up, and brief everybody on the current status of this bill. EJ?
Yes, thank you very much, Patrick. President Williams, members of the board. As you recall, last Tuesday at the Water Policy and Legislation Committee, the committee asked staff to return to the board with an action item to adopt an oppose unless amended position on AB 1195. As part of that discussion, we discussed Metropolitan Water District and their position, which also is a oppose unless amended. And in looking at the amendments that were being proposed by Metropolitan Water District, we incorporated those along with a jurisdictional issue. And you can see, I believe it's on packet page 605, so it's the next page. You can see the amendments that we discussed in committee. And as soon as that committee meeting ended, we contacted Neomel, Pappas and Associates to alert them to the direction provided by the committee, letting them know that today at the board meeting, the board would consider ratifying that position. And we did relay that discussion to the author's office to begin the negotiation aspects of potential amendments. At that time, the Assemblywoman's office indicated that they were more than willing to amend the bill and that they were in the process of actually working their way through the amendment process. Just over the weekend, we did receive a copy of those amendments, and staff is still in the process of evaluating them. But it looks as though those amendments have been at least preliminarily addressed. And I wanted to walk us through those amendments. You can see there items number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first would be to amend the jurisdictional boundaries of the appointed commissioner. And I wanted to point out that they in fact did that. They have been indicating to West Basin that they were willing to do this for quite some time. So this was not anything new to them. But the new jurisdiction for the commissioner would actually be within the jurisdictional boundaries of the Water Replenishment District in Southern California, excluding the area overlying the West Coast groundwater basin. And the reason for this amendment was that this legislation was intended to address the at-risk agencies within the UCLA study. And speaking with the author and all of those involved, all the different stakeholders, it didn't include actually any of the community water systems within the West Basin service area or overlapping the West Coast basin. So they were able to adjust that language. And so I think that point number 1 has been addressed. The second was to delete or address the issue of surface water rights and groundwater rights included in section 1. This section has actually been completely deleted from the legislation. So I would argue that the second point has been made. 3, add language to clarify that nothing in section 116689 is intended to supersede existing water rights, the authority of Metropolitan Water District, its member agencies, including West Basin Municipal Water District, the Los Angeles Local Agency Formation Commission, or other existing laws. Now, it's important to note that this section has been drastically amended. It is also worth pointing out that the Assemblywoman has agreed to continue to work on this. As mentioned in the board memo, she stated, in fact, that this bill is a work in progress, and she did actually hold a stakeholder meeting with NPA participating on West Basin's behalf. And she did state that this specific amendment might take a couple of different drafts, but she was willing to amend it as is initially. So we're going to continue to work with Metropolitan Water District on point number 3, but it looks like it's moving in the right direction. And then point 4 is to delete section 116689E, which would allow the commission to oversee the activities of Central Basin Municipal Water District. Now, this is one point that the Assemblywoman had agreed to address. However, she did not, in fact, delete the entire section. As amended, it would give the commissioner the authority to audit or provide a financial review of Central Basin Municipal Water District or an operator of a public water system that seeks or has received state funding or other benefits from the state board. This is actually something that proponents of consolidation have discussed for some time. For those of you who are familiar with school systems and school districts, in receiving state funds through their granting programs, they require you to actually go through an auditing process. And of course, they have done some consolidation and actually stakeholder intervention when it comes to school districts. And this is somewhat in line with that. So I wanted to point that out, that that section, point number 4, has not actually been deleted. However, and according to her office, they are working with all the different stakeholders. She feels that this is something that's necessary. And we did learn from her office that they were willing to work on some language for a possible, what we would call a trigger. So when could this commissioner commit to that audit or seek an audit? So you can see that the Assemblywoman has at least made a significant attempt to address all of West Basin's concerns. My understanding is that Metropolitan Water District is currently having their attorneys review the legislation as it relates to point number 3. But at this time, obviously, staff would take direction from the board and implement whatever strategy you decide on today. But again, I really do want to point out and maybe give her office a lot of credit. The Assemblywoman and her staff have really worked with stakeholders. You've seen that this bill was initially introduced at the very start of the session. It was completely gutted to incorporate this new commissioner concept. And it does look as though she and her staff continue to work with the different stakeholders to find some happy medium ground, if you will, on this legislation. So with that, Mr. President, that's all I have. Staff's recommendation within the board memo is that the board consider adopting an oppose unless amended position on AB 1195. However, as we just mentioned, most of our amendments that we were currently seeking have been addressed. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you for that. So are you ready to change your recommendation at this time?
Well, at this point, I think that a watch and stay active on the legislation would be a viable option. Again, prior to taking a position and with the assistance of NPA, we have had a seat at the table for all of the discussions. She and her staff have continued to work with us throughout this process. I know that our general manager, as well as myself, we've had conversations not only with her staff, but also with leadership within the speaker's office, because they are taking a very active role on this. So staff feels fairly comfortable that we can continue to work on this and find this happy medium. But as it stands right now with these amendments, it's really worth noting that West Basin Municipal Water District and our service area has been excluded from the jurisdiction of the commissioner.
Okay, thank you. So it looks like Director Alvarez.
President Williams, yes, I got a couple of thoughts. EJ, on the way the bill currently reads, and I guess the direction it may follow, the commissioner would have the ability to argue in favor of consolidation and taking over water systems that are either failing or at risk of failure. And is there a definition of what at risk of failure is?
Yes, and I will point out that this is one of the aspects that they continue to work on right now, is, as I point out, the triggering aspects. And so an at-risk water system is defined as a water system that meets all the following conditions. The water system is either a public water system within or with 3,300 or fewer connections. The system serves a disadvantaged community. The system is at risk of consistently failing to provide an adequate supply of safe drinking water as determined by the state board to the methodology established by the 2021 Drinking Water Needs Assessment. And I think it continues, it either consistently fails, meaning it is failure to provide an adequate supply of drinking water. And I think that wraps up all of the at-risk definitions. Did that answer your question?
That does. I just wanted some clarification. On this particular bill, I know it's had interesting history, and it's kind of a successor to other legislation from previous years. But just as West Basin was interested in not being covered by this legislation, I'm not quite sure that there is a need in Central Basin for legislation of this nature. If the intent is to oversee the Central Basin Municipal Water District, then there should be a more clear-cut piece of legislation that does that. But a piece of legislation that looks at the possible consolidation, and I believe some of the conditions are a little arbitrary, of smaller water agencies which traditionally have done a good job, and in a lot of cases, although not in all cases, tend to have much more competitive rates than the agencies that would be taking them over. I don't think that this is a good piece of legislation. So I'm not quite sure. I think it's even worth watching. It's probably just best to oppose the legislation.
All right. Any more discussion?
Yes.
Now, Donald Deere. Yes, sir.
Yes. It seems like it's the legislators made a lot of concessions to our concerns as per the report. And I think whatever stand we take on it now should reflect that positive turnaround that the legislation took. And I would like to think of kind of a middle of the road, maybe watch type of a motion as opposed to oppose unless amended. Something a little more positive. Well, what do you think? I want to ask my colleagues and DJ, what's an alternative motion that would be the next step towards approving?
The in-between position would be to watch. As both you and Director Alvarez have pointed out, this is a significant issue, especially within the southern LA County region. Obviously, so a neutral position may not kind of be as direct, but a watch position means that we're still there, we're still a stakeholder working on the bill. Obviously, if we were to remain with what's in the board memo, which is an oppose unless amended, I think the author would have some expectation of us removing our oppose if they're able to fine tune that language a little bit more and give us all 4 of those points. So if the board has any concerns related to kind of, if you wanted to go straight oppose, that would be different than an oppose unless amended, because she appears to be working with us to give us what we're asking for.
Yeah, Mr. President, may I make a comment?
Yes, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. First of all, I thank the Assemblywoman for considering some of the amendments that Metropolitan and some of our concerns. So please convey our appreciation for that. I do think that because there has been opposition or concerns about this legislation, that has really kind of inspired her to do what she's doing. And so I think for us, and for us to kind of remain at the table, if there's a need to really kind of make sure that, I think it was item 3 or whatever we were looking at, that she's not quite there. And I know there's some concerns about the commissioner or whatever, that we may want to stay with our position, unless amendment, until we fully understand the complete legislation. Watch is a good position. I don't know if it's the same. I mean, I know it's not the same as oppose unless amendment, but I don't want us to lose the leverage, if you will, or the inspiration to her to consider all of these amendments and make sure that they are exactly what they should be to protect us and to be supportive of other member agencies if we believe in that. So, EJ, my question is, watch, how does that compare to oppose unless amendment? What does that really mean?
Well, quite frankly, an oppose unless amended is you're opposed until future amendments. And a watch, in my opinion, I think for most legislative advocates would say, a watch means that you still have some apprehension about that legislation, you still have some concerns, you're going to continue to work on it and move it through the process. I think that the real concern with a bill like this is that it does have some momentum. The stakeholders that currently have positions, some of them are noted there in the board memo. Metropolitan Water District has an opposed unless amended. I would assume that in the end, they would be able to address all of those. The municipal water districts of Orange County have an opposed unless amended. My understanding is that their amendments have been taken. And I believe the California Water Association had one amendment that they were seeking. And my understanding is that that has been addressed. So with the exception of Central Basin Municipal Water District at this time, it looks like the Assemblywoman has made the amendments to at least address most of the concerns. But as she pointed out, there does need to be some fine tuning on that. So if the board wishes to maintain that opposed unless amended, we can continue to do that. But I think we can continue to do that under a watch position as well. And that would show that she's made a lot of great faith in the stakeholders and really put in a lot of work, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and that's what I would propose, same position, but indicate that we're watching it because we can always come back and take a different position on it once it's truly amended. So that would be my proposal today.
Is that your motion then?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we watch. Is that correct? And what follows?
No, it's opposed unless amended, but we're continuing to watch it, and it will be brought back. We will continue to get updates on it.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. What's the motion?
Let's have a clear.
The motion is opposed unless amended, but the direction to staff would be that we will continue to watch it and updates will be brought back for any kind of future adjustments to our position on it.
I don't second that. I didn't understand that. My motion would have been different.
Yeah, let's.
Can I ask my colleague what was his position on it?
I was going to take out the language opposed unless amended and insert the language that we watch.
Insert the language in. I'm a little confused. Say it again.
Yeah, instead of saying opposed unless amended, we say we'll take a position of watching, which means that we're more concerned. We're still concerned, but we're not as negative towards it.
So how would the language be in a motion there, EJ, if you could help us out here?
It would simply be to adopt a watch position on Assembly Bill 1195.
Okay.
That's
wait a minute.
If Don's making the motion, I'll second that language.
Did we have a motion on the floor before?
Mr. Chair?
For lack of a second.
Yeah, just a minute.
Director Gray had a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'd recommend that initially we had a motion from Director Gray to oppose unless amended with some instruction attached to that motion. Yes. That motion has not been seconded. I'd ask that motion be restated and so that there could be a second. And if there is no second, then it appears there is a subsequent motion to be made.
Okay. So,
and the subsequent motion,
President
Director Deere.
Yes, I'd recommend the chair solicit a second or request a second for Director Gray's motion to oppose unless amended.
Can I say something about my motion, please?
Okay, go ahead.
I made the motion, but I asked my colleague for comment. So if that is an amendment to my motion, I withdraw the motion and accept the amended motion, if you will.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, we have the original motion has been withdrawn, and the second motion, as I understand it, has been made by Director Deere to adopt a watch position.
Okay, is there a second for Director Deere's motion?
You had a second already, Director Houston seconded.
So it was seconded by Houston.
I will second it.
Deere's motion. Is that correct? Is that what you heard?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is, could you state that motion again, please, for the record?
The motion, it was moved by Director Deere, seconded by Director Houston to adopt a watch position regarding Assembly Bill 1195.
Very good. All right, we'll vote on the motion.
Mr. President, can I ask just one question regarding the motion?
Yes.
Does that mean that there will be updates that are brought back to the board regarding the amendments that
Yes.
to the general manager?
Yes, absolutely, Director Ray.
All right, and at any point, we can always change our position on the legislation, Mr. General Manager or EJ?
Yeah, at the pleasure of the board.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, here we go with the vote. Director Gray,
Yes.
Director Alvarez,
No.
Director Houston,
Yes.
Director Deere,
Yes.
Director Williams, yes. Motion carries. Next item.
Our next and final item on the action calendar today, President Williams, is the item on the Water Harvest Festival that we've discussed extensively, it seems like, and we're given direction to look at a one-day virtual event and how to move forward with that. And we have Melissa Buendia, who's our Public Information Specialist 1. Melissa, how are you? Can you take this item for us?
I'm great. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, GM, and good afternoon, members of the board. As was mentioned at the May 13th Public Information and Education Committee, this item was asked to be brought back to the regular board meeting in order to have the opportunity to further discuss amongst the full board to gather direction regarding the suggested staff recommendation about the 2021 Water Harvest Festival event. So as the General Manager mentioned, staff's format suggestion for this year's event would be a one-day virtual event spanning a 2-hour live stream event comprised of around 3 to 5 family-friendly educational activity segments with hired assistance from an event production company that specializes in virtual or online events. I'm happy to address any questions, get into more details if that it's at the will of the board, and open the floor for discussion for the board as well.
Okay, you've heard the report. What's the will of the board? Director Deere?
I think we should take the recommendation and have the online format.
Okay, I see no. Director Gray?
No, I agree with the recommendation, if you're asking us.
Director Houston?
Yeah, I just had a question. What's the budgeted amount for this event?
I am happy to answer that. For this year's event, the proposed budget was, let me get to my notes here. It is for the 21-22 fiscal year, the budget for the Water Harvest Festival is $84,500. So that estimation included a mixture of in-person event elements, which is not in the staff suggestion or the recommendation. So staff actually estimates that it will come underneath that proposed budget. So we're actually looking at an average range between $62,000 to $65,000.
Okay, two things. One is there's less information today on this board agenda than there was at last month's meeting, for what it's worth. But the other thing is I still would like to know why staff is recommending a virtual event in October. Patrick?
Yeah, I think you asked the same question before, but based on the input from previous committee meetings and discussions on this, and may I finish? Okay, so we feel that this is probably the safest way to move forward, considering that the pandemic is not over. Even though October seems a long ways away, we need to start planning now. And I got a strong indication from the board, and I agree with it, that having a 1,100, 1,200 in-person event in October still could be problematic. And out of an abundance of caution for people's safety and whatnot, it's a prudent idea to do it virtually. And we've had a great track record on our virtual, although not quite the same level as this, but our virtual offerings in the past 15 months.
Okay. I disagree with the recommendation, and I really think it's out of step with current events and where the state's heading. So I don't support spending that kind of money on a virtual event, but that's my perspective. So thank you.
Okay, let me give you my perspective. Now, we've hashed this out a number of times. And the last time it seemed obvious to me that we didn't have a majority that was ready for an in-person event at the level that we are known to give. And to have, in my opinion, to have a fun event like the harvest restricted because you can't do this, you can't do that, watch this, watch that, it takes the fun out of it. And I thought we had talked about that before, and that today when we were going to vote on whether or not to go with the virtual event. So with that, if you're not ready to make a motion, or is there anyone out there ready to make a motion to go forward with staff's recommendation? And I believe the recommendation is for the virtual event. Am I right or wrong? Safety.
I move we have a virtual event, yes.
Is there a second? There's a motion to have a virtual event.
A second.
It's been seconded by Director Gray. Therefore, those who oppose, you have the same privilege. And I think you, Director Houston, you've already indicated that you would be voting no. So then that would be Director Alvarez.
I think that with the state opening up on June 15th, with the fact that all of the major facilities, Dodger Stadium, etc., are open now and fully open, not restricted anymore, that there is no reason why we can't have this as an in-person event.
That's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
Okay. All right. So there's a motion and a second on the floor that we move with staff's recommendation. So I am ready to call for the question. All right. Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Alvarez.
No.
Director Houston.
Maybe I didn't hear you. Houston?
Director
Houston.
No.
No. Director Deere.
Yes.
Director Williams. Yes. The motion carries. Next item.
Okay, our next item is item 10, information calendar. We don't have anything on the information calendar. And that would bring us to item 11, receive and file items.
Can we receive and file all the items? I'll move to do so.
Item 11 has been moved to receive and file all the items on under receive and file 14 items. Any, is there a second?
Yeah, it's Houston. There was a second.
Who, I didn't hear that. Who was that?
Director Houston had a second, made a second.
All right, been moved and seconded that the receive and file items be received and filed. All right, let's call for the vote. Director Gray.
Yes.
Director Alvarez.
Yes.
Director Houston.
Yes.
Director Deere.
Yes.
Director Williams, yours truly, yes. Motion carries unanimously. Next item. That is General Manager's activity report.
Yes, I'll be brief today. Thank you, President Williams. A couple of things, some good news that we received today was from the rating agencies, S&P and Moody's, and they have affirmed our ratings, which are at our current status, which is very, very strong. Good news as we go out into the market. Great job by Margaret and her team, as always, in keeping us in a good fiscal situation. The other thing I wanted to talk about is, and I sent you, the board, some notes over the weekend. We did have a very, very significant power outage at the Ed C. Little treatment plant. When I say power outage, it took off the entire plant. So all of our, from Hyperion, not that Hyperion was affected, that's LEWP, but that had to be shut down, the Hyperion pump station. And our customers either had to live off of storage of recycled water or be switched to potable, or in the case of some where we had some backup power, we're able to stay online. And I really want to compliment very strongly the team, to see Lorenzo. I was over there with him on Saturday at the plant, and his team were really magnificent in responding and getting ready for what was a very, very complicated restart of the system from scratch after about, I'd say about maybe 12 hours of repairs by Edison. Edison were also fantastic, and our staff, led by Mr. Barkett Mercurian, who spent about 12 or 13 hours out there on Saturday to coordinate things, and very ably supported remotely by Uzi, Daniel, our operations manager, and Jason Kung was out there. We had a number of people, but it was a fantastic team effort. I can't say enough about it, how it was responded, and all customers were brought back online before before midnight, actually, quite a bit before midnight. So great job by all on that. Thank you. And I'd have to say, it's lucky we didn't.
You couldn't save the squirrel, though, huh?
No, he was collateral damage in this case, and unfortunately, and the fox squirrel, and they very commonly do these kind of things all over the place. That's happened to me at a number of agencies before. But it's due to the length of their tail and from their nose to their tail, when they can touch two phases and they cause arcing, and they can cause some damage. The previous Saturday, you'll remember, we had our retreat over at the plant. So luckily it didn't happen that day, or it would have been a dark day. And on that note, I just want to recap from the retreat. I thought we had a wonderful retreat on the 15th with all of our board members there in person, and Margaret, Barkev, Michelle, and Julie, all participating with our facilitator. Wonderful discussions on building trust, communication, respectful hearing of each other, and tackling all of our big situations that we have in front of us, which we have an incredible track record of doing. It was a very timely and wonderful retreat, and as reflected by the comments of the board members present. Let's see what else. We have another quick update. I've sent the board some information on the Suez Veolia takeover by Veolia. It's sort of in process, takes a long time. It's a very big money deal, apparently, and it goes to the shareholders of Suez, I think, for a vote on June 30th to vote up and down on the share price offering that's in front of them. It's expected to pass quite easily. And then there's a multi-month process after that to finalize all of the details, and some of them are considerable. But for us, Veolia would in fact take over Suez in North America completely. And because of some other issues over in Europe where they're holding so much larger, the antitrust and monopoly type of issues need to be resolved. And so there will be some consortiums and kind of split ups of the assets to address that. We've had numerous ad hoc committee meetings. We had one for ocean desal. We've had a couple, one with the actual people involved with the city of LA, and we've had numerous ones for the brewer desalter, including last Thursday and this morning. All things are moving along. A lot of work to be done, and been by and large a good process. Going back to Uzi for a second, I just want to highlight an article that was published about her where she was featured in the AWWA member spotlight. The environmentalist advances use and understanding of recycled water. Wonderful article. If you'd like a copy, I can certainly send it over, but she's represented us the agency very well, as she always does. And thank you again, Uzi, for your help on Saturday under trying circumstances. And today is the last day of Deanne Blackman, our wonderful public information specialist. Deanne is moving on to the private sector, and we wish her the very best. A couple of quick upcoming meetings. We have Met Caucus on June 2nd, so that's coming right back, 12:30 p.m. We have an ethics committee meeting on Friday, June 4th at noon, 12 p.m. And we have an E&O committee on June 9th, 4 p.m. And a special board meeting for a public hearing for the Urban Water Management Plan, Thursday, June 10th. That's also upcoming. Some conferences that are, I think some of you have signed up for, board members that is, and others, but we have the virtual conference on June 14th through 17th, virtual conference for the AWWACE 2021. And registration is open until, if you plan to attend, please let me know or let staff know. And let's see, there's a membrane technology conference that's in West Palm Beach in Florida, July 19th to 22nd, and registration is open for that. Those are my highlights. And I want to thank the board very much for passing the budget today and all of the other important items that are on the agenda. Really appreciate that, and all the discussion around the budget and input from all board members, and the wonderful work by our staff for implementing such a transparent and thorough process. So with that, that concludes my report.
Okay, that takes us to the General Counsel's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You should have in your inboxes our summary of services for the services provided in the past month. And I also would like to report that we will be having a closed session today, as described in item 15. We have conference with legal counsel under 54956.9, existing litigation, LA Waterkeeper and West Basin. We have potential litigation, 2 cases. We have real property negotiations under 54956.8. And we also have, pursuant to the board's action at the beginning of this meeting, 15D, which is conference with legal counsel, government code 54956.9, existing litigation, Porter versus West Basin. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Now that takes us to item 14, AB 1234 reporting compliance. Anyone wanting to report out?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Houston. Just 2 items. On May 10th, I was at the Brewer desalter ad hoc committee meeting, and also on May 15th, along with all of you, I was at the special board meeting for retreat. Thank you.
Okay. Next, Director Alvarez.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Director Deere.
report is in the written report form, so nothing to report here.
Okay, thank you. Director Gray?
My activities are in the written report, the AB 1234. Thank you.
Thank you. Same here. All right, next item will be closed session.
Yeah,
So-
President Williams, before, if I may.
Yes.
So for the closed session, we will have a presentation. So you will be logging out of this meeting, and you should have in your email a closed session go-to-meeting link, which you can log into, and then we'll come back onto this meeting. Sorry for any inconvenience that may cause. So we're going to be logging out to. Go ahead.
I was just saying, Mr. Chair, I believe the email was sent to all the directors approximately
Yeah, I got it. Anyone
this morning.
Yeah, all the directors have it. And if you don't have it, let me know.
Director Alvarez.
Nothing. I'm logging off and then logging on to the other meeting.
All right, very good. All right, see you over there.
Greg still with us? Wow.
Here.
Yes, he is.
Is that Greg?
This man needs to get a life.
Greg.
Yeah, I'm still here. I wanted to hear what happened, and if you have any comments to make, I always value your comments.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Turn your mic on, Harold. There he is.
Hey, I'm here.
Good.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if with your permission, after I report from closed session, would it be okay if I dropped off the meeting? It's my 35th wedding anniversary, and my wife is waiting for me at dinner.
What?
Yeah, if
I didn't know about that, Steve. Only 35?
Congratulations.
Gosh. Well, let me see here. Of course.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Stephen.
But you got a ways to go, man. We got 53 on you.
Oh, my
Well, Steve, you got married in middle school?
Yeah, right. Happy wife, happy life, Harold.
That's right.
Congratulations. All right.
All right. We got enough to close up here? There's 3 of us.
Yeah, Steve reports out, and then we got one more item.
Scott's
We
here.
got one more item?
We got 4 of us.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Well, here we are. We're going to reconvene our general meeting, and we'll have our general counsel report out what was said in closed session, what was done in closed session, rather.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board met as described in section 14A through D in closed session. First item, Government Code section 54956.9, existing litigation, LA Waterkeeper versus West Basin. A report was given to the board. No formal action was taken by the board. On the next item, 15B, potential litigation. The board discussed one matter. No formal action was taken. Instruction was given to staff. Under 14C, real property negotiations concerning 3700 West 190th Street in Torrance. Instruction was given to staff by the board on that matter. And lastly, on 15D, Rastegar versus West Basin. report was given to the board and instruction was given to staff. That concludes my closed session report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
And
very
that-
much.
Hello? That's it for, our next item is item number
16, director's comments.
16, director's comments and agenda items.
I guess this is Director Houston. If no one's going, I'll go.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, you know, I was kind of sad and disappointed to hear that Deanne Blackman is leaving us, and so I do want to send her well wishes. She's basically been with us, I think, for the most part of the time I've been on this board, and I've really enjoyed working with Deanne. So hopefully she's going on to a great new opportunity, but for what it's worth, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for her and all of her work in our PI team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Director Deere?
No comments. We've been here long enough.
All right. Mine
Director
is real,
Gray?
yeah, mine is real quick. Thank you to staff. I just heard Deanne is leaving, and thank you, Deanne, for all your work, and the best to you. And that's it. But thank you to staff. Good meeting. Thank you, board members. Bye-bye. I have to get off too.
I send my congratulations to Deanne and wish her well in all her future endeavors. Thank you. That, nothing else. We are now adjourned to June 10th board meeting.
Bye-bye.